Traveling the Vortex.
We've joined the Doctor as he travels the Vortex and arrive at episode number 359. Remember, you must always judge history in its context. I'm Keith.
I'm Sean.
I'm Glenn.
How are you guys?
I'm well.
I'm okay.
I'm doing pretty good. Did you guys do anything fun this week?
I got all my exterior illumination up this weekend.
Yay!
So
So did I.
Yeah, yours
Although
looks
I
great.
need to do some tweaking because I have a section out.
I reset my exterior illumination this weekend.
Why'd you have to reset it?
Some lowlife piece of garbage decided to come over on Corey's side and cut the Christmas cord, the strand of lights. Just cut
What?
it. So we salvaged all the bulbs out of it, and I just restrung that side. But consequently, now that I had to use a strand of lights, I don't have enough to go around and do the back side of the house. So we just decided, this year we're just going to do the front.
We got all Christmas-fied Monday on the inside, and then today I got the lights hung after doing a bunch of leaves yesterday.
I finished listening to the 10th Doctor Adventures Volume 2. Quite enjoyable.
Good.
The Big Finish audios.
Mm-hmm.
And then I started the 3rd Doctor Adventures Volume 1. And I must say that Tim Treloar is a more than passable 3rd Doctor.
Oh, yeah.
Good.
Yes. I haven't really watched anything this week.
Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. returned.
Yeah, I haven't picked back up. I'm still trying to get finished with a bunch of other stuff, including Inhumans. So
I started Punisher. I started the first episode. I didn't know what to expect from it, but it's very different. But I like it so far.
Good.
But I'm only one episode in, and
yeah,
I didn't get back to it at all. So I did also watch Crisis on Earth X.
I heard good things about that.
It was really enjoyable. Way better than last year's CW crossover.
Yeah.
We're all the way up to season 5 now, or season 5, episode 5 of Stranger Things.
Oh, hey, you're slowly trucking.
Slowly trucking along on
there.
that. It's so good.
It is so good.
Yeah.
I'm current on the Orville, and with every passing episode, I love the show even more. I don't know what it is. It's filling that Star Trek shaped hole in my life right now. And then we watched Logan Lucky, Adam Driver and
Oh, yeah.
what's his name, Magic Mike.
Channing Tatum.
Yeah, it was pretty good. That was about it.
Well, let's talk about some news.
Well, slow week this week as far as news goes. The only thing came out was at a Broadcast magazine is reporting that the upcoming series will be shot with different cameras and will give the series a new filmic look.
What is a filmic look?
I don't know. We'll find out when series 10
I
begins.
read that in the article too, and I went, I wonder what filmic means.
I guess it's going to look more like more film,
More cinematic?
Cinematic, I think is probably the word they're looking for.
Film-like?
Yeah.
I didn't notice that it wasn't already looking filmic.
It was pretty
Filmic.
epic in my opinion.
Well, they've got been supplied with Cook anamorphic prime lenses and something Optimo anamorphic zooms that will work on their Alexa XT, Ari Alexa XT, and Alex Mini cameras.
Yeah, it's already getting too technical.
I can vouch for the cameras. Those are cool. I've never heard of these lenses. I've heard of a prime lens, which I don't like, but I'm sure in the hands of somebody more gifted than me that it probably does well. I don't like not being able to focus. That drives me nuts.
And that's pretty much the only news.
There was that photo shoot that happened way late in the week. I don't know if you saw that or not.
The promotion. Oh, there were a couple of promotional pictures that were released. There was one of them on the icy scape and them looking upward and all that. And then there's the nice Doctor Who magazine one.
I think that's what it was.
Where
holding the book.
Yeah, Capaldi was reading the first annual.
It's a gorgeous photo.
Oh, they both are.
Yeah.
And a nice moving poster trailer from BBC America.
Ooh. Way to go, BBC America.
If you're going to do something like that, The thing is, if you're going to do something like that, you got to try to top the 50th anniversary one.
Right.
Where we went through all of that stuff, and there's no way you can do that. No. Way jam-packed. Too much stuff.
That was a really good one.
Yeah.
That was good.
Have we heard if this is... we're all assuming it's day and date Christmas.
It is.
Yeah, it is.
Christmas Saturday.
Yeah. Actually, Christmas is actually on a Monday this year.
Christmas Monday this year. But... So the BBC America and everybody across the board, it's day and date.
Well, we know for certain BBC America and the BBC on Christmas Day. I don't know about anybody else.
Well, that's everybody.
Yeah, Australia might be the next day.
Well, and it airs, I think, on Space up in Canada.
Usually that's about the same time as BBC America.
Usually it is, yeah.
That's everybody.
And then there's all the Asian countries get it, but sometimes they get it the day after. Not all of the Asian countries.
Pretty sure Australia gets it the day after.
Australia used to get it like a week later. You remember that back in the old days? But I think they're day and date now too.
Well, they're the next day.
Oh yeah, I think you're right.
Because their Christmas happens like 24 hours before ours.
Oh well, not quite, but yes. If it happened 24 hours before ours, then they would have a whole day out of the way. But
that's
yes,
true. Yeah.
There is a large gap.
A very large
Christmas on the beach.
Yeah, in summertime.
It's
so
summer down there. Christmas in summer down there. Good stuff. Exciting.
Yeah. We do have some feedback. Andy wrote to us.
Oh,
that's right. I forgot about that. I was quite surprised by that.
Yeah.
I mean, pleasantly surprised. Don't get me wrong.
We hear from Andy quite a bit, just never as
that's
feedback
just
for the show.
When you hear from Andy on a fairly regular basis, it's a bit surprising when you get feedback from him.
Andy writes, actual feedback for a change. Hey lads, first up, great to hear y'all excited about the Lost Skin novella. Still no definitive release date, but I imagine it'll be by March or so, just so I have enough time to finish it. Trust me, you won't be disappointed.
Yay!
And if you are, I'm totally not taking blame. Elsewhere, not sure you guys have mentioned the Big Finish 99 for 99. If not, it's still running, I think, until December 23rd. Some great titles here, many of which I'm sure you guys have yet to hear. All of the Dalek Empire stories, which I had started to listen to way back in the day and am now finally getting the chance to catch up on. I forgot how detailed and intense it gets. If you're not listened, for 99 cents a chapter, it's totally worth getting now. Plus, first series of Cybermen for the first series of Cybermen and the first 50 monthly releases. Which reminds me, have you lot listened to And the Pirates? If not, download it. Trust me, once you've heard it, you're going to want to review it. We have, Andy, although I don't remember specifically which episode that was in.
Oh, it's been a while ago.
We'll maybe pull that up find out.
Very
good. Yeah, that was a great one. And since it's you guys, a quick update on other things which I know interest you. I've finished first pass edits on a very private haunting, and if all goes well, we'll have it ready by mid to late January for release. Sorry about the delay on Series 5, can't be helped. It's worth the wait, though. Be sure to read A Very Private Haunting on a stormy night. Spook out guaranteed. Ooh. Chat with you soon, Andy Frankham-Allen.
Cool.
Thanks, Andy. And I didn't realize that sale was going on for Big Finish, so if you're looking to try some, that's a great sale to dip your toe in.
Sale to take it. I mean, $1 a pop. You can't really argue with that.
No, you really can't.
Yeah, it's a real good price. It'll be a little more converting to U.S. dollars, but that's
like $1.50 maybe.
Probably about that.
Even then.
And if I'm not mistaken, these are of course downloads. These are digital copies.
Digital downloads.
Alas, you cannot get a CD for $1.
Well, if you want to send us feedback, you can send it to feedback@travelingthevortex.com, or just go to our website and fill out the Send Us Feedback tab. And our website, of course, is travelingthevortex.com. Or reach out to us on any form of social media. We're everywhere.
Let's move on to our reviews.
What should we start with?
Chronological order.
Son of the
Typically
Dragon.
what we do.
But what if I read the comics first?
That's on you.
That's on you.
I came chronologically first.
I
didn't. I listened to the audio first.
Excuse me. Chronological Way Doctor. That's what I mean.
Oh.
Yes.
I know that's the way it is. I just like questioning it.
Son of the Dragon. I am Prince Vlad III, son of Vlad the Great, and sovereign and ruler of Ungro Wallachia?
Wallachia.
Wallachia.
I think it's Wallachia.
Wallachia. And the duchies
Is that where Black Panther's from?
Almas. I thought that every time they said it.
Oh, I did too.
Almas and Fargaius. But since my father's murder, I have another name. I am Dracula.
Why does Wallachia make you think of Yakanda?
I don't know what this does.
The names aren't even any close.
It starts with a W.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Oh,
It's a foreign land that starts with a W.
And
Could be
the
Wisconsin for all I know. Holly's hanging out with Black Panther.
In Wallachia.
In
Wallachia.
Holly from Wallachia.
Wait, or is it Holly from Wakanda?
That works too.
So I really like this story.
Oh, bum, bum, bum.
Oh, yeah. This is fantastic.
I was quite surprised by this one because I don't know why. When I scheduled it, I for some reason was thinking it was a Seventh Doctor one, and Son of the Dragon. I thought it was going to be Chinese. You
Were way off.
So it started. It was the Fifth Doctor, and I went, "Oh, okay." And there were no dragons. It was just kind of Dracula. Oh, okay. So I think after that initial shock, my expectations were out the window. I had no idea what was going on, and then I just listened to it. It was like, man, that was great. I really liked that. I should go into these blind more often.
Well, that's how I wind up going into pretty much all of these, except for knowing who the doctor is and what the pairing's going to be. Most of these I have no idea because I try not to read the synopsis.
Yeah, I really.
And with the title
try.
like Son of the Dragon, you don't really know what to expect.
Yeah, in fact, but when they set it up and they talked about Dracula, well, of course, that's what it translates to. Dracula is, he's Son of the Dragon.
How had no one done a Vlad the Impaler story for Doctor Who before now?
Yeah.
I mean, come on. This felt like a mix between the Crusades and something else. I'm not sure what, but it was awesome.
Yeah, it's a great period story with no science
It's a pure
fiction.
historical.
Yeah, with no... Yeah, it is, because it does have a historical character. Or historical characters.
Yeah.
And, there's no science fiction element to it. There's no fancy...
No alien influence.
No technobabble.
It's trying to make Dracula an actual vampire.
Right. Which is refreshing.
Huge props.
Because,
Props.
Vlad the Impaler obviously was a historical figure. And there is a lot of mystery that surrounds him. So I thought that was the cool thing. Is taking this and saying, we can build on that mystery by putting these elements together. And there's no question. You don't have to go, we don't know if that's what happened. We don't know if this is what happened to a wife. And so.
I loved how Peri initially kept trying to attribute those elements to it. Well, what about this? What about this? What about the, and the doctor's just shooting them down one after another. Well, no, it was actually this. Well, it's actually because of this, blah, blah, blah. And then even later, she's like, maybe he hypnotized her.
Yeah, because she's going to what she's familiar with about Dracula. Yeah.
And the best they can come up with is, well, he's rather charismatic. It's just, that's all you got. It's like, and I love the doctor's line about it's amazing how fact becomes myth.
Myth, yep.
Yeah, I've always loved when any story gives us the historical aspects of why the mythology is the way it is. Mm-hmm. The fact of why the myth of staking a vampire to kill it is because he impaled his victims. All of that stuff I just always eat up every single time, no matter what the story is.
And it was so well done. It was across the board.
What's amazing is how they make you sympathize for Vlad. Mm-hmm. I could totally see his entire side of the argument the entire time. Well, even early on, before we get to know him, and the realization kind of hits you that, these Turks are the invaders of his country. He may be a tyrant, but he's just defending his borders, and you can understand why he's doing what he's doing to protect his country. Everything through that up to meeting him and getting to know him and how he's struggling with all of this stuff. It's just so well written and so well acted.
it's such a wonderful balance too, because you start in the Turkish camp, and these are very noble people, and it's got a great commander, and we will protect you from the evil, and Dracula. So of course, as with Peri, we're already in that mindset of we know who Dracula is. Okay, of course he's evil. And so then as the myths get dispelled one at a time, but the Turks are still going, the evil's coming, he's going to come get us. And, so they've really built up this big bad. And then you meet him, and your pendulum swings completely the other direction to be like, oh, yeah, no.
He's not that bad.
He's bad, but he's ruthless in kind of an almost efficient way.
Yeah. And he has... You get to hear his justifications of why he's so ruthless.
Right.
He's trying to create peace. It's just creating peace in not the most moral way to do it. It's one of those things where it's almost like, well, I can kind of understand what he's trying to do.
And what sold that for me more than anything else, more than anything he said, was the one peasant who was happily out there on the march.
Oh, yeah. And John Dobrin's dedication to
John
him,
Dobrin's
too.
That was all the way to the end, which I thought was cool. Yeah.
So exceptionally well written.
Do you know who played Dracula?
He sounded vaguely familiar, but I didn't bother to look it up.
James Purfoy.
Where do I know that name?
He has been in a lot. So he was in Rome, The Following, A Knight's Tale. He was in John Carter.
I don't know him from Adam, so.
There's a thing.
Is that Heath Ledger's dad? No, it's not Heath Ledger's dad. James Purfoy. Yeah, I'll have to look him up.
Colville in Knight's Tale.
It's been long enough. I don't remember that. Anyway.
So he's done a lot of... He was in Rome, he was Mark Anthony. I mean, he's done so much stuff. And he's always been a good actor and all of that stuff. So
he was quite exceptional.
So remember that Ace story we did? That
I have to be more specific.
I'm sorry, not the Hex story. That narrows it down.
It does narrow down.
Where it's kind of a similar format of Hex gets swept along with.
Not Cromwell.
Yeah, Cromwell.
Yeah, Cromwell.
Yeah, Oliver.
This felt like it was the same format, but executed better. I think part of it is because I'm more familiar with Vlad and his mythology and his history, and I think just part of it is the fact that the supporting, like, Hex's aspect of that journey was fascinating, but like the Doctor and Ace's stuff in the background wasn't as well done. I think this had the Doctor and Peri still being relevant and important to the
plot. Very
plot.
much equal parts.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can see that.
I think what amazed me most about this one was a lot of times you listen to these Doctor Who stories, these Big Finish audios, and you think, wow, that really felt like a television episode. That really felt like a television episode.
Oh, yeah.
That sounds like a television. I put myself in the whole TV. This sounded like a movie to me.
Yeah.
It was very cinematic in the brain, just in its execution. I think some of that has to do with the fact that there are long periods of time that pass between, scenes and stories and sections of it, and chapters and episode breaks, and so there's a lot, or part breaks, I guess there are in this. There's a lot of sweeping time, and there's a lot of things that they could easily have swept under the rug and said, okay, passage of time here, a lot of things have happened. They seem to do a really good job of connecting it. When we rejoin them again, we find out just enough information on what's been happening without having a big giant info dump that some authors have been guilty of doing in Big Finish, where we have these big sweeping, if we have a long passage of time, we have these large info dumps of information to get us caught back up to kind of move this along. This was done in such a way that you could almost imagine the dissolve, and then in the frame, and then coming to another time or location much later, and it just worked really, really well.
They allowed it room to breathe.
They did. They really did.
If there's a weak link, and it's almost more of a minor quibble than anything, I kind of felt Erimem was, I don't want to say wasted, because obviously she's the emotional crux of what Team TARDIS is trying to accomplish, is get her back. But I felt like her running off with the guy and a marriage proposal, it seemed like a story that we've kind of already had with Erimem.
I think that's my complaint of the story too, is the fact that that aspect was so familiar, and how many times are we going to have Erimem almost leave Team TARDIS to be with this historical figure, whether it be through this marriage proposal or previously because she believes in their convictions. I mean, it feels like a lot of the stories, the major conflict set up is Erimem going to leave us?
Yeah.
And I like the pairing so well together, the three of them, that I don't want her to leave. So I don't like having that dangled in front of me.
We've only got a couple more stories before she's gone. So.
And it feels like every one is almost like, is this going to be her final one? Is this going to be her final one? And I know they can't do that with Peri or the Doctor. So you got to try to have some sort of peril or conflict to some of your characters and make it believable.
It never seems to bother me too much because I've always felt like this is Erimem taken out of her own time because she obviously can't return. And it's almost like, to me, it's Erimem trying to find her place in history, a new place for her in history. And I think I kind of like that they keep doing that and leading me down that path of, okay, is this where she's going to end up? Is this where because she can't travel with the Doctor and Peri forever. We know that. And she has to land somewhere because she can't go home. So I think it's a calculated move on the writer's part to kind of make you feel like she's starting to get secure in a time, and then that's my biggest gripe with this is we have this sweeping epic of, as I said, very cinematic feeling story that ends with a freeze frame sitcom end to me. I felt like the whole rejoining at the end of the crew was much too happy, the 80s sitcoms where everybody makes little jokes and then the frame freezes at the end. Yeah. That was the only thing that felt a little awkward to me at the end. I'm glad it ended the way it did. I'm glad Erimem ended up back on the TARDIS with Team TARDIS, but it just seemed to be it was a sweeping, we're going to make light of now everything that has happened and we're going to move on for our next adventure. And that felt awkward to me, but it certainly did not take me out of the story at all.
Well, I think that's the little bit of the issue is that I had that Erimem goes with Vlad on it felt at the time, flimsy pretenses. That she just gives her word in order to save everybody else. Which, I mean, it's a noble sentiment, but it just felt like, okay. But then, obviously, it's Stockholm Syndrome or whatever, but she begins to develop feelings for him, and she definitely is the conduit through which we begin to see, he's not horrible. He's just kind of doing some horrible things, but, and Vlad actually softens quite a bit, it feels like, from Reputation through Time with Erimem. Because realistically, he could have had Peri and the Doctor flayed alive and then impaled several times. And he always, and he kind of backs down from that. It's kind of like...
Well, it's one of those where you wonder how much of it is Erimem softening and how much of it is the legend outranking
it could go either way.
The person.
But I think he genuinely had feelings for her. And then when you get to the end and he flies into a rage and then just kind of drops the matter and is like, oh, okay. But everything else was so good.
I think that's what I thought was interesting about it is you said you developed some sympathy for Vlad. I don't know that I drew sympathy, but I just drew an understanding as to why he was the way he was. But I still never at any point felt like he was being oversold as this tyrant, because I think he still was, and there were times that he would fly off the handle with Erimem, or he would fly off the handle with, the only person he never ever flew off the handle with was John. Ever. He was always and you could tell that must have been because of their relationship together, but there's not a lot of it to develop on. But there was always times that it almost felt like maybe his situation has drove him a bit insane. And they kind of softened the whole story of his killing off what was the group of nobles that, he ended up inviting to dinner and then ended up slaughtering and enslaving some of them. They do kind of try to soften that from the other side, because he does open up and tell Erimem that, well, it was vindication for what they did to my father, and it's not because of the fact that they weren't going to be loyal to me. It's the fact that they never were loyal to us. Mm-hmm. And so I kind of sit in and go, okay, I see where your perspective of that is. But then a few scenes later, he's unhinged and going off the rails again with Erimem and so I agree that I had some understanding. I never had sympathy for him, so I never really. Yes, he was a horrible person. Not just somebody who did horrible things. He was a horrible person. There was a reason behind some of the horrific things he did, but he was still a horrible person. That didn't make me dislike the story at all. I don't like the character, but I like the way that the character's portrayed and told, and I think that was the number one thing about it. So then again, at the end, I'm okay with the fact that he does the switch on a dime with, oh, okay, well, you just go. And because he felt like he was one of those very manic, depressive type people that flew in and out. And so that felt right to me that happened. It's when they get into the TARDIS later and they're having the little conversation that felt to me was the letdown of, not even so much a letdown, because again, I was glad that Erimem was safe, that they're going to be able to go on further adventures. But it was just almost the demeanor between the three was this, glad that's over, and it just had a real 80s sitcom or drama, even dramas that ended like that.
Even Erimem seems to turn on a dime.
Yeah, that was my problem.
So
was
adamant
Erimem,
that I'm protecting everybody else and I'm being noble and this kind of stuff, and then I can actually leave with you. Okay.
Yeah, that's yeah. No, I agree with you there. Yeah, it's Erimem's changing back so quickly is what I had a problem with.
Yeah.
You're right. Yeah,
that's a valid point.
But man,
sympathy is the wrong word for glad.
I think I knew what you meant.
Yeah.
I think it's more understanding for why he's who he is.
Right.
Not necessarily, you don't necessarily sympathize with him, but you at least
they humanize
empathize
him.
Maybe with him.
I think they humanize him a little bit.
They do humanize him. Yes, certainly.
But
even more so than just stripping away the mythos of Dracula.
Yes, yeah.
And for all that, like I said, I feel like it's a nitpick. It doesn't collapse the story for me at the end. It's still well worth the listen, even with the somewhat soft ending. It's well worth the ride,
absolutely.
So
it's kind of a shame we didn't listen to this one in October.
Yeah. I thought the same thing. I thought, wow, this would have been a really good Halloween-esque story, but you thought it was about Asian culture, Chinese dragons.
Maybe it's a sequel to Talons. I don't know.
Somehow related to Dragonfire.
Son of the Dragon. Okay.
But yeah, high marks.
Shows what I know.
It's very good. It's funny how little we talk about things that we review when we liked them. We seem to talk for hours. No, not that long, but we seem to talk long periods of time stuff we don't like, but stuff we love. I guess if you don't have anything bad to say about it because you like it so much, there's very few things to tear apart.
Oh, maybe. Yeah.
I'm not asking you guys to drag this out because if we can, if we can move on to the comics, which I do have some more issues with, but not just.
I see.
I do have some issues with, but yeah, I don't mean that we have to keep. But I noticed the last few weeks of the stuff that we all kind of land on and go, yeah, that was really good. I really like that. I don't know what else to say about it.
Yeah, that's how I am.
Yes. Let's move on.
All right, moving on. The 12th Doctor, Death Beneath the Waves. The new 12th Doctor The 12th Doctor grapples with two deadly small towns in this brand new collection kicking off year 3. First, it's the return of fan favorite comics companion, space bassist Hattie, as the 12th Doctor takes her for the best fish and chips in the galaxy in a sleepy seaside town in the 1970s. But there's something ancient and evil beneath the waves, something that has mired its twisted tentacles into the local people, something that weaves itself into Hattie's dreams and drags itself up onto land in mounds of shambling seaweeds. Can the Doctor and Hattie get to the bottom of a cosmological horror before it devours them and wipes the town off the map? And in a solo adventure, the 12th Doctor heads back to the 1950s for a creep slice of small-town Americana in The Boy with the Displaced Smile.
Bum, bum, bum. And yet. Go ahead, Glenn. Tell us what you didn't like about
No. It's not that I didn't. It's not that I hated this. In fact, I thought this was a really, really good story, especially Beneath the Waves. And what I'm very appreciative is the fact that this is what's collected in the graphic novel I say graphic novel, but the collection, the trade paperback version of it, because they did it right. They kept all of the Beneath the Waves story together, and then gave us the boy with the display smile. Because if you were reading these, it actually comes out with part 1 of Beneath the Waves, then it goes to the boy with the display smile, and then Beneath the Waves part 2 and 3 is how they actually came out in comic order.
They released them that
way?
way?
Released them.
That's how
way.
I read them.
So they stepped away.
Why did they do
This,
that?
I have no idea.
What's interesting...
What?
Yeah, so I'm glad that I read the trade paperback version,
I wonder
because
if there
they
was
kept
some
them in the right order.
behind the scenes.
Maybe they got
reason.
delayed on part 2 for some reason, so they had one ready.
Well, what's interesting is that the way part 2 or issue 2 starts with the boy with the display smile, and it comes up on the previously on Doctor Who, blah, 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 blah. And then there's this weird line about, but the Doctor's mind is called back to a previous adventure. Like he's in the middle of this cliffhanger and suddenly goes, you remember that time I went and had this diner thing? And there were zombies, but not? And there was the kid and the smile and the reality warp? That was kind of cool. Oh, but we were over here. And it's just... I kept waiting for somewhere within Beneath the Waves to call back for the reasoning that issue was dropped in the middle of the story, and they didn't.
Well, but I can see... I mean, I can almost forgive them for doing that, because if, like Keith said, there is some technical aspect for why they had to slide this one up, at least they tried to address it. At least they tried to say... They didn't just because it would have been even worse if they didn't even mention, and they just went into this, and you're like, what happened to this story that we were right in the middle of? So at least they address it and try to fix it in that way.
Yeah, previously. But before that story continues, the Doctor's mind is thrust back to a previous adventure before he picked up Hattie.
The cliffhanger wasn't even anything that would have been thrusting his mind
and
anywhere,
it's even listed as an interlude.
Yeah, like I say,
What?
Like I say, I think that I give them high credit for doing that. If they were forced to do this. Now, if it was planned to do that way, then I needed a gimmick that did thrust his mind back to it. But if it's hey, we've got to let the reader know,
that must be it.
Yeah, and I'm certain of that. I mean, if
I won't bag on it then, because if they I didn't read the trade, but if they resequenced them in the trade, then
that sounds like it wasn't on purpose.
Something else.
No, that's why I agree with Keith.
Okay.
It must have been something behind the scenes that happened.
Which makes me wonder if that's part of why the artwork is so different, and the story isn't quite as up to snuff, is because they had to rush this issue out in order to fill that gap because they didn't have time to get their other one done, or if they just reshuffled their release order, or what they did.
Here's what I liked about this. George Mann writes a great story here. I like the fact that Hattie's back. I love that this seaside town under siege. I like the fact that the menace is actually a message trying to get to somebody to help this entity that is underneath the waves. It's a great story. It's a bit tropey. It's things we've sort of seen in different variations before, but it's wonderful. It's got great characters. I loved Maggie and what was the other old lady's name? I love them.
Yeah.
I like the fact that the hospital's full because they've got all these tranced people that are as a result of this thing that's going on here that's trying to give the message out. And so they've moved the hospital, some of the patients over into the inn. It was a bit weird and surprising that we have this normalized inn downstairs and then suddenly go upstairs and, this has been up here all along. Nobody said anything about it. But I can kind of see that because...
We'll take 2 rooms for the night. Don't trip over the hospital ward.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. But I guess if you have an inn and you have visitors that come, you don't want really people to know that there's a hospital ward upstairs as well. But it seemed like it was a convenience, I think.
It was very much a convenience, and it went one step further in the... At what point in time when I was checking into your hotel did you not think to let me know that there's an epidemic? Because the doctor even says, we think it might be something viral. And it's like, I'm not staying here.
So there's a bit of an issue I have with it as well. Yep, agreed.
Yeah, come on.
On the other hand, I suppose some greedy innkeepers like, well, I'm not going to tell anybody about it, even though we've got some of the patients upstairs. So that was a bit weird, but...
The only other part of my brain that can justify that is this is such a small town and it's the only inn.
Well, that's certainly, that's
still
certainly true. But he
there's
could
no
probably
other option.
send
So
somebody to another village just on the road.
Where is the gruff Fourth Doctor era innkeeper with the sideburns that go all the way down his face, like John Peel, who goes, "Trust me, traveler, you want to keep moving on. You don't want to stay here. No, give me your money. I'll put you right next door to the freakish."
I like that this story starts off with him at the planet where they're going to unearth the
favorite part of the whole
archaeology,
thing. I knew
and
that
the
this
corpse
panel-
come marching out, and I thought, oh, Keith's gonna love this.
Yes. I was so excited. I thought the entire story was going to be Quarks. And then the rest of it just kind of went down.
Well, I like how he dispatched him right away too. It was kind of a neat little, almost like opening credit sequence. It's a very James Bondy aspect of it.
Well, and it's very, very much in the line, especially for the beginning of a season for the Moffat era. We drop into the Doctor's run mid-adventure. He wraps it up very quickly, and then we move on to the actual story.
Doris and Mavis. Those
Mavis,
were the two girls.
And if it matters in the least, Tomb of the Quarks is now a thing that's running around in my head. So,
Oh, yes.
Tomb of the Quarks.
Tomb of the
If for
Quarks.
nothing else.
So, absolutely, again, I love that Hattie's back. We really enjoyed her as a character when he met her on the twist. I like the fact that now fame has kind of taking its toll on her, and so she needs a break, and he takes her away from it. They have a great companionship, great relationship. I guess what I'm getting most tired of is this whole rock and roll thing that we keep going back to, and all the little drops. It felt reused from the twist idea. I know it's Hattie, and that's kind of how
That's their thing.
Yeah, it's kind of their communique, but it felt forced, and it felt too much, and I thought we could have done without this. We could have done without what we had done before.
It's all right in the beginning.
It is all right in the beginning.
It's the resolution
yes.
where the guitars save the day.
That's
is
the
kind
biggest
of the,
problem.
Really, I
We
agree.
rehash that, and we have that. Okay, well, we're going to play our way out of this, and that felt like, okay, wait, you went kind of over the top, and you redid what we've been doing before. And part of it says, Sean had brought this up in past years, that we kind of had this music theme going on, and there was so much of it, and now suddenly we're in year 3, and we're still doing so much of this music theme. And
the third Doctor, or the 10th Doctor,
with the 10th Doctor and Gabby, But so...
And 11.
Well, even 11,
And
yeah.
11,
yeah, that's
with-
just
with-
it.
with
And so
Joey, and
it's
now,
almost like Titan does not know how to break away from making music be their central theme, now that we've had it over a course of several years. So
Well, it seems like they've
unless
almost
they're playing a long
shifted.
game.
Yeah.
No, because if they are, then I'll be really disappointed, because it needs to just stop.
Well, it seems like they kind of shifted from, it was very prevalent in 11th Doctor in year 1,
Yeah.
and then went more prevalent in year 2 for 10th Doctor, and then a tad bit in 12,
Yeah.
and now again. So maybe they're just shifting it around as they...
Maybe it's just the writers struggling to find uses for the Sonic.
Well, and that might be it too. And I mean, for anybody that it should fit with, it is Capaldi's Doctor. This is the way that the Doctor has been portrayed even on screen. But
I mean, the fact that he plays a guitar on a tank. I mean, come on.
I mean, but it just felt like a little too much. It felt like a little bit too, I don't know, over the top, I thought.
It felt, when you do this sort of thing, it felt
kind of Bill and Ted
caricature of the 12th Doctor when you do this sort of thing.
It felt almost Bill and Ted there at the end. We'll play our way out of here.
Yeah.
I don't know. So that's what I meant by, it was like, I've got issues with it. That's the issue. Again, it's an ending thing, but it's almost like we don't know where to go. So let's go back to this trope we established, with Hattie the first time. So
talking about the inn, had I seen this carpet when I walked into the inn, I would have turned around and ran away. It's the shining carpet,
It is the
man.
Oh, wow, it is.
I mean, nice reference, but come on.
I think you did that on purpose.
It also kind of looks like the TARDIS walls.
A little bit.
It's like the roundels, but no, you're right. That's the shining carpet.
I would have turned around and hightailed it.
Nope, I'm done.
So, speaking of the artwork, because I know that's Glenn's favorite thing to talk about on these comics, these 3 in particular are gorgeous.
They're gorgeous.
I really like
So
it.
well done. And I love this bit where they get the fire hose out in issue 3, second part of the Hattie story, and because we're gonna knock out the seaweed monster. This is all we've got. Okay, let it rip, and it just kind of dissolves and turns into this pile of leaves. And Hattie's like, that worked better than I expected. And I kept waiting. When is the doctor going to wake up from his coma, come running into them, going, "Don't get him wet, whatever you do." I just there's got to be something bad that happened. And no, it was just, it worked. And then I was like, all right, cool. And then they never went back to that method for getting rid of them. I was like, aw, you guys, come on.
Didn't it reform though?
Nope.
Oh, I thought it did for some reason.
It just
more just came.
more.
Oh, okay, maybe that's what I'm thinking of.
But absolutely
came out of the
gorgeous artwork in these.
Yeah, I
really happy with these. And even though it's different, but even the boy with displaced smile, I liked for what they were doing with it. I didn't mind that it had a different art style.
Yeah.
But it was still good.
It worked for the story. I'm moving on to that. I'm a little lukewarm on it. I didn't think it was a bad story, but it felt a bit disjointed, and it kind of felt Twilight Zone-y, you know, and probably because of the kid that wishes the people out into the cornfield. But it just, I don't know. It felt interlude-ish. It felt like, okay, we need a one story here. Let's do something kind of fantastical and a little different. And for what it was, I thought it was okay. I really kind of liked Penny. But I didn't like the sheriff, and I didn't like the other guy, who are these big babies that Penny's basically taking care of because they're afraid to go outside. But they're very opinionated and big-headed, and I kind of didn't like that. But yeah, no. Overall, it was an okay story, but I'm neither here nor there.
Yeah, I'm the same way. It was, as for an interlude where we're companionless, waiting for Bill to show up, it's all right.
Yeah.
I mean, Penny serves well in that role, and
Another audition.
I would have been okay if she would have gone around for like one more issue, but the threat is kind of okay, yeah, whatever.
I think what I would have liked better would have they placed this story at the beginning, and then ended it with the 3-part in the books that we've done. In fact, probably for the comics it would have served it better, but maybe they felt like for year 3 they couldn't really go out on that comic because I don't think it's as strong a story. Maybe that's what
to launch it.
Launch that.
Well, and George Mann as far as Doctor Who stuff goes, is a name to launch a new season. So
there are two things that I really, really liked about this one that in a way almost carry it, and one of which is the see if I can find it. It's the line when the Doctor's talking to the aliens about that he's alone, that he's lonely, and that they're feeding. And, oh, you're just like us. He's like, no, I'm not. Like, yeah, you are. And it was just the way that was put together was one of those kind of things that just it gave a lot of weight to that exchange, which was I thought very cool. And then the other part of it was the find it now.
What I sort of wish, well, I'm getting ahead of myself. What I sort of wish Titan would do, because we're leading up to the Bill adventures, obviously, but what I kind of wish Titan would do is get the okay to fill in some of the 12th Doctor Nardole stuff.
Yeah.
Since 12 is going, it's not like they're going to do any of that, tackle that in the TV.
Yeah, that's true.
I'd almost like to see a few things between the Doctor and Nardole setting up to ending up at the university.
That would be nice.
Would be kind of cool. Obviously, they probably can't do that because of television rights, the way that's manipulated. But I'd kind of like to see some of that between Clara leaving and Nardole appearing.
That would be
I guess it'd be between Husbands of River Song and Dr. Mysterio.
Yeah. Or even between Mysterio and...
Well, yeah, that's why I'm going to set up the vault.
The pilot, yeah.
Maybe some adventures with Missy or something. I don't know.
I can't find the other thing that really attracted me to it. I tell you what I didn't like was the idea that, how do we get this thing off the kid? Oh, think of the good times you had at the diner. What?
Yeah.
That's your happy place?
That was his happy place.
The diner.
You have to give it to him, I guess.
It seems a bit of a convenience.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay.
Although I'm
Oh, no.
I'm easier giving a convenience to a short form story like a comic than I
Yeah.
am to a audio or a television.
Because even the resetting of reality when it's all fixed, that's kind of like, we're all right.
Reboot.
You got us only so many pages you can do
Yeah.
this in.
How you gonna work your way out of that one? I'm gonna.
It's not
reboot
even
the
wiping the
universe.
memory. It's literally the car got flipped back over and it's fixed again. I mean, it
Right.
wasn't just a surface.
Reality reset.
Yeah.
Well, he mentions that it's a reality perception or something. So
Yeah, but
this was not actually how things were. But I thought for maybe a minute that just the way they were kind of designed on the chest, that it was kind of maybe a cousin of the dream crabs. Kind of had that
they
same
do kind
feel
of-
to it.
between that and the beetle from Turn Left,
Yeah.
all kind of similar.
They probably were heavy influences in that
Mhm.
idea. Maybe they're all cousins to each other. Maybe they're
Maybe.
all similar to each other.
Bugs.
Bugs.
Or write a story where those bugs are all native to the same planet. That would be kind of cool.
What a horrific planet.
Yeah. Yeah, nobody go there.
Anything else on this 4 parts that we finished? We're chugging along now in the Titan stuff. I'm kind of
Yeah.
enjoying it. So I
It's
kind
nice
of
reading
like
some
also
comics.
the 4-story formula that we've picked up now. I think that works a lot better.
Depends on the story arcs they're telling.
Depends on the story arcs. I'm a fan of 5, but you know.
All right, what else
Or
we
6 if that's a complete run. But you
what
know.
else we got on the schedule, Sean?
Creature from the Pit.
Creature from the Pit. So we'll be watching that for our Friday Night Who selection on Friday at 10:30 if you want to join us, and then we'll be discussing it because we have not reviewed that one at all.
But another good one to do in October.
Yeah, that's debatable, but I don't want to spoil Keith on anything.
Is that a Hinchcliffe one?
It is not a Hinchcliffe one.
No, and
But it
it's-
is 4 and Sarah Jane, right?
Nope.
No?
4 and Romana 2.
Oh.
And I think some limited canine.
Ooh. Laryngitis canine.
It is season. No. Yes.
Yes.
It would be
So not
Laryngitis.
John Leeson.
Not John Leeson.
Yes.
Oh.
Don't get your hopes up.
I'm okay that he's limited then if it's not John Leeson.
But yeah, so that'll be that. I think.
Is that all Romana for
I
me?
think that finishes off all of Romana 2 for you.
That's all of Romana, period.
Well, all of Romana, period, yeah, because we've done the other
Televised.
Yeah, televised.
televised. So, the end of an era. It's all starting to close down. But, so we'll be doing Creature from the Pit, and then the following week, Curse of Peladon for Friday Night Who, and then the Brigverse novella, The Flaming Soldier. So you've got 2 weeks from today to get that knocked out on your reading. And then one more week out will be World Enough in Time, The Doctor Falls. We'll kind of recap that. And then Christmas time, Twice Upon a Time.
Yay! I'm excited.
Hard to believe Christmas is almost here.
It's almost here.
If you like to support us on Patreon, you can go to our website, travelingthevortex.com. Every little bit of that helps keep this show going. So if you can support us there, please do so. And we appreciate everybody that already does.
Very much so.
Absolutely.
Anything else we need to talk about before we close the show?
Yes, I have something I would like to announce. Is that, as we've mentioned or in passing on the show previously, that we do some short film work around the campfire here, and our team entered the 4 Points Film Contest, which is an online film festival. We completed our film and got it turned in, and it did well. This is an online international competition, and they've gone through the initial round of judging and cut it down from 128 films that were initially submitted and turned in down to 16, and we're one of the 16. Now, what I'm asking of all of you to do is we'll post both links that you can go, and if you want, you can watch all 16 of the short films that are in the running. But of those 16, they're asking for an audience favorite. And it's just kind of a popularity contest. We're asking for votes. So if you would click on the other link and just go vote for it. You have to vote for 3, but just make sure that we're one of those 3. But the film is called Course Correction, and it's from Berkeley Square, so you can go and, I said, just click on the link in the show notes and watch it and let us know what you think. Anyway, so that's my impassioned plea for this week. The voting is open for one more week. If you like it, please let me know.
Very good. Anything else we need to talk about this week? If not, until next week, I'm Glenn.
I'm Sean.
I'm Keith.
Cheers.
Good night, everybody.
Be seeing you. Thanks for listening.
You have been listening to Traveling the Vortex. Doctor Who and all of its associated programs are owned and trademarked by the BBC. No infringement is intended or implied.